Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to another fabulous video where we're going to be talking all about Venus and Venusian codes, Venusian starseeds, souls from Venus, cloudships, Venusian channelers, so much about Venus. I'm super excited to be bringing this to you because this is definitely one of my past parallel lifetimes on Venus. A lot of Venus codes in my natal chart. And welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Dr. Heather of the Starseed Sanctuary. I am a former psychologist turned professional astrologer and Akashic Records reader. I specialize in Starseed Galactic origins and really helping you learn how to discover all of your past and parallel galactic and Earth lives encoded into your natal chart. There's so much that we can learn by just looking at the Starseed astrology chart. So I'm thrilled to be bringing this forth to you. All about Venus. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, please take a minute and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of my cosmic creations. All right, so let's dive in. She's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it. It's Venus. Venus starseeds and souls from Venus, that is. So, in this Starseed Super Session, we are going to cover the following: the planet of love, beauty, and money, honey. Lots of really interesting and fun facts about Venus, Venus mythology and galactic herstory, Venusian starseeds and souls from Venus, some traits, some fun facts, Venusian starseed codes, how you can discover your connections to the planet of love, Venus, the Venusian Starseed mission, Venusian ships, my favorite Venusian channeler, George von Tassel of the Integratron. I have a little video of my journey to one of these ET hotspots too to share with you guys, and how to safely connect with Venusian guides and beings from Venus. All right. We're going to cover a lot today. This is going to be a little bit of a longer one, so buckle up. So, has your soul ever been to Venus? Are you fascinated by Venus, the planet of love? Does the idea of traveling to Venus excite you more than anything else? Do you find yourself daydreaming or fantasizing about exploring Venus or dreaming about your lifetimes there in the cloud cities? Maybe you've spent a lot of time researching the history, the mythology of the Venusian planet. Are you basically Aphrodite, Ishtar, and Inanna reincarnated and just as gorgeous AF of a soul? You probably are if you're watching this. If you answered yes to any of these, then you might be a Venusian starseed, or Venus could even be your soul origin point, your home planet, your home world, the very first incarnation that your soul experienced after it fractalized from source consciousness. So we're gonna unlock all that here today. So, planet Venus, there is really no other planet in our local star system that captivates and enthralls humans on Earth than Venus. All about Venus, baby. From her mythology, her symbolism, galactic lore, and even her five-pointed star pentagram orbit, Venus is a unique beauty with galaxies of mysteries and secrets to explore. Any astrologer or spiritual seeker will tell you Venus holds tremendous power as the second planet from the sun and ruler of love, money, beauty, and our personal values. So, some fun facts here about Venus. Yes, it's the second planet from the sun. Venus is the second largest terrestrial planet, and it's sometimes even referred to as Earth's sister planet due to their similar size and mass, named after the Roman goddess of beauty and love. Venus doesn't have any moons or rings technically, but we're going to get into a hypothetical moon in a few slides here. Venus is thought to be made up of a central iron core, rocky mantle, and silicate crust, and the surface temperatures get really hot. It can reach 471 degrees Celsius. That's actually the hottest planet in our solar system. And a day on Venus lasts longer than a year. So it takes 243 Earth days to rotate once on its axis. And the planet's orbit around the sun takes 225 Earth days compared to Earth's 365. So a day on the surface of Venus, a solar day, takes 117 Earth days. Pretty interesting. So Venus isn't technically pink. I wish it was. But this is one of the clearest images ever taken from of Venus from Earth. Venus kind of rotates in this opposite direction to most other planets, and one possible reason for this might be a collision with an asteroid or another object. Venus is very bright. It's the second brightest object in the night sky. Only the moon is brighter with a magnitude between negative 3.8 to negative 4.6. Venus is so bright it can be seen during daytime on a clear day. And the atmospheric pressure on Venus is 92 times greater than Earth's. The pressure felt on Venus's surface is equivalent to that deep, deep beneath the sea on Earth. So it actually could be easier and potentially more sustainable to inhabit a cloud city in the dense atmosphere of Venus rather than on the dry surface of Mars. So while it might sound like science fiction, the notion of building a floating city in the clouds of Venus is becoming more and more increasingly viable. And I'm here for it. I'd much rather go to Venus than to Mars if we need to leave Earth anytime soon. So Venus is known as a morning and an evening star, and early civilizations thought Venus has was two different bodies actually, called Phosphorus and Hesperus by the Greeks, Lucifer and Vesper by the Romans. There's often a misconception about what that name Lucifer means, but it was really just to distinguish its morning star phase and its evening star phase. And Mayan astronomers made very detailed observations of Venus as early as 650 AD or BCE. BC. A detailed study of Venus finished in 2015. And then in 2006, a Venus Express spacecraft was sent to orbit around Venus by the European Space Agency and originally planned to last 500 Earth days, but the mission was extended several times before the craft was deorbited in 2015. And they discovered that more than 1,000 volcanoes larger than 20 kilometers have been found on the surface of Venus, contributing to that incredibly hot temperature. So Neith, this is the mysterious case of Venus's hypothetical moon. So Neith is a hypothetical natural satellite or a moon of Venus that was originally sighted by Giovanni Cassini in 1672 and by several other astronomers in following years. It was actually observed up to 30 times by astronomers until 1770 when there were just suddenly no more new sightings. So, aside from this hypothetical moon, Neith, there's also an asteroid that goes by this name, Neith. It's number 1122, located in the central region of the main asteroid belt. So while Venus's moon Neith still remains hypothetical, there was a study in 2006 that suggested by looking at the models of the early solar system that Venus's odd rotation could be the result of a collision with another celestial body in which Venus may have likely had a moon that formed from an impact event many years ago. So the jury's out on its moon. It's mysterious. So the Russians actually sent the first mission to Venus, the Venera 1 space probe, which was launched in 1961, but they lost contact with base. And then the USA also lost their first probe to Venus, Mariner 1, although Mariner 2 was able to take measurements of the planet in 1962. And the Soviet Union's Venera 3 was the first man-made craft to land on Venus in 1966. It has been thought that Venus might be a tropical paradise planet. The dense clouds of sulfuric acid surrounding Venus make it almost impossible to view its surface. And it was only when radio mapping was developed in the 1960s that scientists were able to observe the extreme temperatures that we know Venus to have today. So, some Venus mythology. Venus seems to have had no origin myth until her association with Greek Aphrodite, although she does have some counterparts in Babylonian, Mesopotamian, and Sumerian cultures. Venus emerged already in adult form, born from the sea foam produced by the genitals of Uranus and his son Saturn. So Roman theology presents Venus as the yielding, watery female principle essential to the generation and balance of life. Her male counterparts in the Roman pantheon are Vulcan and Mars, and they're more active and fiery. Venus absorbs and tempers the male essence, uniting the opposites of the male and female in mutual affection. And Venus does have quite a few cross-cultural equivalents. The Roman is Venus, the Greek is Aphrodite, the Akkadian and Babylonian is Ishtar, the Sumerian is Inanna, the ancient Egyptian equivalent of Venus is Isis. The Mesopotamian equivalent is Bennu, which I thought was super interesting because if you guys watched my asteroid Bennu video, I've been following that one quite a bit. So I thought that was really interesting. Shukra is the equivalent in the Vedic traditions, Anahita in the Persian traditions, and the Great Star for the Mayans. Let's talk about Venus galactic herstory. So, does Venus have an alien biosignature? So, there was a new study from very recent, February 2024, that confirms the detection of phosphine in Venus's atmosphere, but it might hold clues to the planet's habitability. Phosphine is produced by extremophile microbes on Earth, leading scientists to believe that if there's phosphine on Venus, it's probably coming from a biological source. And many sources have channeled beings from Venus for nearly 200 years on Earth. This is one of the galactic groups that is very well known, highly channeled, lots of different contact experiences with beings from Venus. Including Scottish minister and astronomer Thomas Dick, who proposed Venus was filled with Venusians, 50 billion of them. When I've looked at Akashic Records work, and I've done some of this with clients and their charts, the records generally are showing right now that only around 5 million Venusians are on or near their home planet. And that is due to various circumstances and timeline wars. Many have left and have traveled to other star systems and other planets. So, hailing from Venus, the planet of love, sensuality, and adoration, Venusian souls are one of the most sensual and loving types of beings that exist. They're also one of the most ancient, too. Born from a lineage known as the Hathors, Venusian souls have direct ties with ancient Egypt, having traveled here from another universe through a portal via the star Sirius A. From Sirius, they came to our solar system and the etheric realm of Venus, and there they evolved for a very, very long time. Now, in ancient Egypt, Hathor was a sky goddess, a goddess of women and love, among many other things. And the Venusians are often referred to as the Hathors from this ancient Egyptian goddess who symbolized femininity, motherhood, and devotion. But one point that's often missed is her ability to transition between worlds, between dimensions, in that liminal space. She was known to cross boundaries, mainly shifting between the realm of the dead and the living to help the deceased transition into the afterlife. And we see this too with planet Venus, morning star, and evening star phases. This leads some major polarity in the Venusian starseed traits and characteristics that we're going to go over. So let's dive into all of the things you want to know about Venusian starseeds and souls from Venus. So obviously, no two Venusian starseeds or souls with a planetary origin of Venus are going to be exactly the same. We all have our unique expressions. Traits and characteristics, as well as embodiment of Venusian energies, are going to vary significantly based on what types of Venusian codes a soul holds in their star chart, in their auric field, in their cellular memory, their level of consciousness and awareness, and their current life circumstances. And just as a side note, too, here, many sensitive souls, starseeds, mystics, light warriors, are very prone to shadow matrix distortions, entity attachments, karmic knots that sometimes need clearing before you can fully activate past life memories or soul gifts, before you can really access those. Sometimes it's really like you have to clear out so much junk that's been overlaid, right? To prevent you from awakening and fulfilling your mission. So that is a big part of what a lot of us are here to do. So similar to the Blu-ray starseeds, Venusian starseeds and souls from Venus are true feelers and harmonizers of this planet. They're some of the most compassionate, nurturing, and mysterious souls you can meet. But here's where it gets super interesting. Venusian starseeds do have a darker shadow side. They're dimension weavers of this time. Unlike other starseed types, Venusians typically possess this uncanny ability to root themselves in both the physical world and beyond, in those liminal spaces, as well as the higher dimensions. This means that they have psychic powers that enable them to literally bridge dimensions together. And it's why many Venusian starseeds have incredible encounters with the supernatural and deceased spirits. I can attest to that, baby. So, Venusian starseeds and souls for Venus often go through a very intense and drastic dark nights of the soul, plural, not just one, and spiritual awakenings and activations that are very cyclical. It can be really challenging when you have another round of this, another initiation of awakening, another layer of shedding things that are no longer for you, and another, right, activation of stepping more fully into your mission and your power. But it can be very intense for Venusian starseeds and souls from Venus. So if that's something that you've experienced, this really might apply to you. It's also why awakened Venusian starseeds and souls from Venus must, absolutely must, practice spiritual protection techniques to prevent negative entities from attaching to their energetic field. We can become very vulnerable during those dark night of the soul experiences, during really deep existential depressions. And so it's just really important when our frequency does get lowered that we're still doing what we can to practice psychic self-defense, energy protection, clearing, shielding, all that good stuff. And if that's something that you want to learn more about, please check out my quantum alchemy course. Very comprehensive offering on all that. So, Venusian starseeds and souls from Venus are incredibly gifted healers and timeline alchemists. They often experience frequent deja vu or a sense of familiarity with certain places, people, or even things. Often they have very vivid dreams, which can lead them astray in early adulthood if they do not learn how to decipher that symbolism that's coming through. It can be really dysregulating. They often have an appreciation for exotic things, places as well, tend to be very beautiful, sensual beings, may have a hard time committing to one partner or challenges in relationships because of the depth of their feeling. They're incredibly loving, but no boundaries, but know when boundaries are needed. Some of the biggest givers on the planet are Venusian, and they hold a lot of compassion, but they also are discerning. They know when they're being taken advantage of. They tend to rein that love in and joy just as quickly as they gave it, which can sometimes cause big heart chakra imbalances if they feel like they're being taken advantage of or they have been hurt. They're often drawn to ancient Egypt and may have an interest in hieroglyphics, pyramids, Ankin, all kinds of other sacred Egyptian themed, right, spiritual practices. They often love music and dance and are very interested in the arts and beautiful things. Beautiful things, honey. Venusian starseeds and souls from Venus are also very emotionally sensitive, and they're emotional channels. Their clairsentience is probably one of their strongest psychic gifts. Very skilled body language readers, and they sometimes can really struggle to trust humans as they've suffered a lot of pain and trauma in the past. They're hyper aware of how malicious and cruel humans can be to one another and just sometimes have a hard time letting new people get close. Like they really take a while sometimes to warm up, but once they do, they're very big-hearted, loving people. And they have a side that they rarely show others, very, very mysterious and enigmatic. They're dreamers and believers, and with that comes this incredible depth to their soul. They rarely open up fully to others and might even feel like they're wearing a mask sometimes, which can make them also feel very mentally polarized, like all or nothing or black or white thinking can be a challenge. They're very passionate, they're very curious, likely to have a lot of different projects going at once. Their eyes often light up when they're talking about their interests and passions, and other people really notice that and are drawn to that. Some people might even envy their level of enthusiasm. They can be very joyous, playful, fun-loving souls. If you've ever met one, you're meeting one right now. Yet sometimes we can be worried about how we're being perceived because, we're a very eclectic energy. And when someone crosses them, they're kind of gone for good. It's like a one and done thing. They know their divine power and know when it's just time to walk away from an unjust relationship or a connection. Once someone has crossed them, betrayed them, done them dirty, shady, shady lady Carol Brady over here, okay, it's really hard to get back in the good side of them. And in a way, this is also an awakened starseed trait. Now, we don't want to be just burning bridges for no reason, but we do really, once you're honoring your frequency, your energy, your time, it's okay to walk away from those relationships that do not serve you, especially if it's a toxic relationship. Knowing when to leave, deciding to leave for good, that's actually a sign of growth. And a soul who is yet to acknowledge their truth or their true potential might struggle sometimes with this, with that conflict. So, out of all the different starseed types, Venusians are one of the most emotionally sensitive. That's not a bad thing, that's a superpower. They really value their inner world more than the outer world. So, they're very introspective, very self aware. And for Venusian starseeds, their inner world is rich and full of possibility. It's beautiful, imaginative. They value growth, healing, and embarking on a soulful journey. They have an incredible connection with the universe, the greater multiverse, and the omniverse, and very connected with inner workings of the universe, really sensing that unity consciousness that we're all connected in this cosmic tapestry. They tend to have a very strong, unbreakable connection with spirit guides, with soul family, even if sometimes they're not totally sure who their spirit team is or who is guiding them, they just know that they do have a strong spirit team. And again, that's something that you can get a lot more clarity on when you do a lot of energy work and clearing of blocks and other interference. So, Venusian Starseed codes. Okay. How to discover if you've had a past or parallel lifetime on Venus. Obviously, the first one, if you feel a really strong connection with Venus, or if you feel like Earth is really just not your home, you have this strong longing to travel to Venus, you absolutely could be a Venusian starseed. And one of the reasons I specialize in and I love starseed astrology is it gives us objective proof of your connections to various different planets, star systems, galaxies, nebulas, black holes, asteroids, and how they're showing up to unlock really dormant memories associated with your past and parallel galactic and Earth lives. So if you have any of these prominent Venusian starseed markings in your natal chart, you are a Venusian starseed. So if Venus is your chart ruler, if you're a Taurus or a Libra rising, that's a very clear sign that this was one of your more recent incarnations on Venus. Venus in your natal chart in the first, fourth, eighth, or 12th house, very clear sign. Venus conjunct basically any major planet, if you have Venus conjunctions to things, but especially the lunar nodes. My natal Venus is conjunct the North Node and the pole star. So it's pretty cool. But especially like North Node, South Node, your moon, your sun, Pluto is a big one as well, Jupiter. If you have a Taurus or a Libra stellium, so that's three or more of the major planets, you could include asteroids in this, although a lot of mainstream astrologers don't. But a Taurus or a Libra stellium, so three or more planets in one of those. I have both. I have a Taurus, a huge Taurus stellium, and a decent size Libra stellium. Venus conjunct the Pleiades, the Hyades, Beta Centauri, or Ursa Major, or any of these Venusian asteroids prominent in the natal chart. And these are just a few of the main Venusian asteroids that I like to work with. But if you guys know of other ones, comment below because maybe I'll make an entire video about Venusian asteroids. Okay, so Aphrodite, number 1388, Hathor, 2340, Ishtar, 7088, Ananan, 3497. Freya, who is the Norse or Nordic equivalent to Venus in those traditions, number 76. Lucifer, 1930. Hesperia, 69. And Neith, that asteroid hypothetical moon of Venus, 1122. If you have any of these asteroids, obviously conjunct Venus on one of your angles, your ascendant, your descendant, your IC, your MC, the lunar nodes, or making any other big planetary aspects to natal placements, those are also Venusian starseed markings. And I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. What's showing up in your chart? What's your Venus sign? What house is it in? Do you have any of these Venusian starseed codes? Always a pleasure to connect with other Venus starseeds. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Venusian starseed mission. So, carrying all of those characteristics of Hathor, Venusian starseeds are here to usher in all forms of love, especially unconditional love. Effectively, this is their collective soul mission and what they're going to do together as a soul family on Earth. Their capacity to hold and spread love is unrivaled. And they carry a very similar mission to Hadarian starseeds from Beta Centauri, or Hadar, that fixed star in the Centaurus constellation. Another very compassionate galactic race. And just as a reminder, you have many starseed origins. You only have one soul origin. So you're going to have many different past parallel galactic lives you've had, many past parallel Earth lives you've had. Generally, only one soul origin point. You could have lived many lifetimes on Venus, and Venus could also maybe be your soul origin point. So you could be a Venusian starseed, and that could be your soul origin point. Or maybe you've just had a Venusian lifetime somewhere along your soul's journey. So some of the biggest challenges that Venusians face on Earth is due to their very bright aura. They may attract sometimes darker or more chaotic experiences for their soul's evolution. Because of their sensuality, their light, their joyous nature, they act as this giant mirror to most people, reflecting back what others choose not to see. And this triggers all sorts of unhealed wounds within others and themselves: jealousy, envy, greed, hatred, etc. They may not be liked and are often envied, but people really are magnetized to them too. So they have this really polarizing effect sometimes on people. People either love you or they don't like you at all. And that's just what it is. Never dim your light to fit in with others. This reflective ability that Venusian starseeds have is really a part of our mission, right? Disrupting low frequency energy so we can heal it. We have to mirror things back. We have to shed light. We have to allow others to do that for us too, so we can work through these blocks, these barriers, these just stuck energies that are not serving us. And yes, because of their magnetic aura, Venusians do tend to attract a lot of narcissistic, sociopathic, manipulative people, toxic people. They may struggle with self-criticism and low self-worth. When things go wrong, they tend to either bottle up their feelings and shame themselves, believing that they could have done better. They can be very hard on themselves. Again, the density of Earth is it's really hard to navigate sometimes, as an old soul. In their original dimension, everything was just so effortless. Manifestations were instantaneous. And yeah, in a world where everything is just really heavy and dense and slow, especially in this current timeline we're in, Venusians may struggle to understand that they're not in full control of every outcome and how to handle it without feeling low or without blaming or shaming themselves. So this was really cool. So let's talk about Venusian ships. Venusian ships are often spotted near Mount Shasta or other ET hotspots. Many different galactic groups do cloak their ships in clouds because could you imagine if the masses, the collective on Earth, saw all of these different ships, light ships, UFOs, UAPs flying through the air all of the time? It would create mass hysteria because most people are not on that frequency of like, oh, cool, a UFO. Like, well, hey, what's up? Like some of us are, right? So a lot of the galactic groups, the ET groups, the multidimensional groups, they cloak their ships in clouds. Venusians are known to do this. They're actually masters at doing this. And you can spot a lot of their ships near Mount Shasta is a really infamous one, and those lenticular clouds that you have right here and up here too, like the pink one. Yeah, you'll often see them cloaked in clouds, lenticular clouds, or simply stationary clouds that kind of just appear out of nowhere or disappear into the sky after lingering nearby. And this was one that I spotted right outside my window, right here, as I was working on this exact slide just a few days ago. The sky was perfectly clear, beautiful sunny day, all blue, not a single cloud in the sky. And I'm not even kidding you. I had looked out the window, I don't even know, 10 seconds before, totally clear, working on my little cloud slide here. And then I look out and this cloud just appeared out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a Venusian ship right there. And I stared at it for a minute and I was like, I want to get a picture. I took a picture of it. And then I was like, that's so cool. I received a little bit of some of the messages that they were sending me, just thanking me for creating this, and reminding me to connect a little bit more with them during this time frame. And I just loved it. I thought it was great. I got back on my computer and then not even 10, I don't know, 20 seconds later, I look back and it's gone. So it was definitely a Venusian ship. So just keep that in mind when you're out and about in the world and you spot, especially it could be a lenticular cloud. Most of these are found at higher elevations, or if you're kind of closer to sea level, you can definitely just keep an eye out in the sky for clouds that look out of place, something that even is in the shape of a ship. There was kind of like a fleet of different ships here. A different day that I took a picture. I'm always taking pictures of the sun and clouds, you guys. I mean, I should make a whole video just like sharing all of my weird pictures I have about that. So yeah, just keep your eyes out because you'll probably spot one if you haven't already. And if you have spotted some of these before, definitely comment below or send me some of those snaps. I would love to see them. All right, let's talk about good old George von Tassel, my favorite Venusian channeler. There's many of them, and this was the one I really wanted to talk about in this video. So George von Tassel and the Integratron. He was born in 1910. He passed in 1978. He was an author, an inventor, a UFO advocate, and very infamous Venusian contactee. George von Tassel, love his name. Creator of the Integratron. He was this legendary figure, aeronautical engineer who worked for Lockheed, Douglas Aircraft, and as a test pilot for Howard Hughes. He was also one of the leaders of the UFO movement who held annual spacecraft conventions at Giant Rock, which we're going to talk about on the next slide, for 25 years. So, von Tassel said UFO contact, channelings, and ideas from scientists like Nikola Tesla led to the unique architecture of the Integratron. He spent 18 years constructing this building. And here's a picture of it up top. There's good old George. The Integratron time machine for basic research on rejuvenation, anti-gravity, and time travel. And I like this little article. I couldn't find the date of it, but scientist tells of space visitors. They're friendly. This is near Joshua Tree in a little tiny town called Landers, California. Super cool place. I've been there. I'm going to show you a video when I went there in a minute. So this is Giant Rock. So the Integratron is pretty easy to get to, but if you're gonna go to Giant Rock, it's a 3 mile drive on this really wonky, like unpaved dirt terrain. I wasn't even sure my vehicle was gonna make it there. But George von Tassel began conducting weekly meditation sessions in 1953 in rooms underneath Giant Rock. They like had excavated this and people would meditate inside of it. And they had a lot of different like little mini houses, dwellings around it too in the 50s and 60s. So he did these meditation sessions underneath Giant Rock, which led to UFO contacts and encounters with ETs when a saucer landed from planet Venus and invited him onto the ship. The Venusians gave him a formula for a proprietary frequency for rejuvenating living cell tissues. And in 1957, he began building the Integratron to perform this rejuvenation. And George stated the Integratron is a time machine, a high voltage electrostatic generator that would supply a broad range of frequencies to recharge the cell structure. And he's written many different books about his various contacts and channelings with the beings from Venus. His annual spacecraft conventions were attended by tens of thousands across 2 decades, featuring very high profile UFO contactees and pioneers in the fields of anti gravity and energy research. Von Tassel continued to work on the Integratron while writing numerous books on time travel and energy healing before he died suddenly, suspiciously, I might add, in 1978. And it's interesting because his proprietary electronic equipment, his notes, his diagrams disappeared from the property shortly after his death and have not been surfaced to date. His FBI file is still classified. There's a whole book that I'm probably going to end up buying. Let's be honest. I'm probably going to end up buying it about his FBI file, even though the technical file is still classified. So there's quite a lot of mystery around what happened to him, as well as his connections with the Venusians.
Here today at the Integrity.
Here's my video from my trip.
A historical place. Creation of George von Tassel. Man's name right there. UFologist. He apparently channeled the beings from Venus that told him to create this. It's where architecture, art, and magic combine. Sound bath frequencies and magic. We're at Giant Rock. The name does not disappoint. Another one of George von Tassel's stomping grounds. He actually lived inside of this rock. I believe this is where he channeled the Venusians that helped him build the Integratron. We're gonna get a little closer and check it out. Oh yes. It's giant. There's even some people rock climbing on the other side. Move over, Brett Michaels. This is a real rock of love. Giant rock. George Van Tassel's giant rock near Joshua Tree.
Yeah, he lived underneath there. It's wild.
So there's legit like a landing pad here for like a UFO, so it looks like a craft.
Pretty wild, pretty cool. It was an interesting trip. There was a lot of really wild things that happened actually on that trip. So let's talk about how to safely connect with Venusian guides. So making contact with Venusian energy, what exactly is it? So I think there can sometimes be this massive misconception as far as like starseed souls go, spirit guides, connecting with like higher dimensional frequencies, galactic families. So when we're interacting with a galactic presence, we're not usually making contact with a soul that's physically living on Venus, for example. Sometimes maybe, but not usually. Instead, we're channeling portal energy or we're kind of accessing the quantum field energy that exist in this much higher dimension. And so this can sometimes result in a visitation during a dream, a synchronicity, songs on the radio, etc. And because this energy will show up in a form that's familiar to that individual person, depending on who you are, how you connect, your psychic senses, all of those different things. It's a kind of similar to how like a spirit guide would appear or angels might appear. Venusians are known to be very telepathic, so there might not actually appear to you in your mind's eye or in a dream, but you might get a message like I did when I saw that cloud, right? It was like, thank you for talking about us. Connect with us more, right? It was more of a telepathic message. So just keep that in mind. And I cannot overemphasize this enough. Always, always protect your energy. Do a bubble of energy, do some clearing and shielding, do some anchoring and grounding into your earth star chakra, even into the underworld, right? The inner earth realms as well, and be cautious of false light trickster entities. I mean, the spiritual community is just riddled with attachments, false light entities, shapeshifters, vampiric spirits, glamour distortions, all kinds of other things. So we want to be sure that you're connecting with an entity, a consciousness that is what it says it is. I generally do not recommend trance channeling. That is possession. Okay. If you're going to do conscious communication or conscious channeling, beautiful. That's much safer. And again, if you want to learn more about psychic self-defense, energy clearing, protection, removing entities from your field, etc., check out the Quantum Alchemy course. Very comprehensive offering there. All right. So, a few other recommendations for how to connect safely with Venusian guides. Accessing the Venusian signal. It's interesting because all the planets have a specific frequency that they resonate with, and Venus resonates tones at two specific frequencies: 221.23 hertz and 409.1 hertz. Other planets and moons resonate at just one frequency, again, showing us just how special Venus is. So you can also connect a little bit with Venusian energy or galactic guides associated with Venus by improving and working on your natal Venus placement. Even if you don't have any Venusian codes in the chart, right? You probably have at least a couple though. So figuring out like what is your natal Venus placement? What is your love language? What is your core energy associated with Venus? What house in your chart is that in? What area of your life is that Venusian energy most prominent for you? And continuing to work on any blocks, barriers, or challenges that come up for you in relationships with love, self-love, self-worth, personal values, money, beauty, aesthetics, appreciation of art, creative outlets, etc. All the Venusian topics. Cloud ship watching. That's like my favorite. That's like my favorite way to connect. I mean, I just told you about how I did it the other day. So that's a pretty chill, safe way to do it too. You're grounded here on Earth. You're just kind of like looking up at the clouds. Cool. Visit a Venusian ET hotspot like Mount Shasta. Love Mount Shasta. This is the cover of my book. I published a book. I don't talk much about it. It feels like it was like 6 lifetimes ago. It was published 3 years ago, written 5 years ago. So that's like a long time, right? But this is from one of the Venusian and Lemurian portals and vortices, one of the sacred vortices on Mount Shasta. I took a really cool half-day hike with Paul the Venetian, a starseed from Venus, and he knows all the ins and outs. And we went to this beautiful area. He has an infrared camera where he took this with his infrared camera. That is not a doctored photo. That is just with an infrared photo that showed this like cool portal of beautiful light codes around me. There was a lot of beautiful rainbow plasma light orbs in this tree circle with all the redwoods there. It was gorgeous. So I highly recommend visiting Mount Shasta, even just going up to like Bunny Flats where you can kind of get to the base of the mountain. Beautiful spot to just cloud watch or enjoy the energy there. It's a beautiful sacred site. And Joshua Tree is another great one. I showed you that video from the Integratron that was near Joshua Tree, or the Extraterrestrial Highway is another one of my favorites. This is near Hyco or Rachel, Nevada. There's me hitchhiking at the AT Highway. All great places to kind of check out a little bit. Again, be safe, protect your energy, all the important things to do. And then here's some additional resources and books about Venus. This book, Venus Rising, the one in the top right here, I love this book. It's a pretty comprehensive book. I mean, there was so much in here I wanted to include. Like I could almost do like a 4-part series on Venus. So again, comment below if you guys want me to talk more about Venus, Venus DNA, junk DNA, all kinds of other really interesting stuff. So if you're going to buy any book about Venus, I recommend this one, The Venus Rising by Raymond Andrew Keller II. George von Tassel has quite a few books. The one that I prefer the most is The Council of the Seven Lights by George von Tassel. Thank you, good sir. The Hathor Material, another excellent book by Tom Kenyon. And if you want to learn a little bit more about Venus's orbit, Venus star rising, this new cosmology for the 21st century, how to track your Venus star points, this is a great book by Ariel Gutman. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this Venusian Starseed video about all things Venus. Sending you all so much love and gratitude for watching. And please feel free to check out my offerings below. Sign up for that free newsletter, and I'll see you in the next one.